Matt, we're talking today about a situation that your office has been dealing with since, when did this begin?
Well, the situation you're talking about is not receiving cases within 90 days. We have under the law, under the Code of Criminal Procedure, 17151, cases must be presented to our office within a 90-day period. We have to have the cases be ready for trial. If an individual is arrested and we do not have that bond, the case presented within 90 days, then the individual is entitled to a PR bond. A law enforcement agency will investigate the case. In this situation, the sheriff's office. They will conduct their investigation and present it to us within 90 days. In that, once we receive the case, then we proceed to take it to grand jury, and the individual is either true billed, where an indictment is returned, or he's no billed and he's released. So the important part is that 90-day period, if we don't have the case within that 90-day period of time, then an individual who did commit the crime, in some cases a very violent crime, will be back on the streets with a PR bond because we did not receive the case in time.
One of the cases that just recently, that your office is recently dealing with, is one of a man named Jerry Allen, who's charged with 3 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and he was actually PR'd from jail, correct?
Correct.
And why did, well, again, that's because the case wasn't filed quick enough, and you didn't have the, you couldn't get it to a grand jury within 90 days, correct?
Correct.
Your office is not being called by the Smith County Sheriff's Office to come to crime scenes anymore. Is that correct?
Right. I've been here, it'll be 19 years in October. We have always been called by law enforcement agencies if they get to a scene and we have a victim that's deceased due to a violent shot, stabbed, where we believe this could be a criminal homicide. Even if it determines later not to be, they will call us to the scene, and that's always been the way it is, whether it's the PD or the SO.
Is that still the same policy with Tyler Police Department, White House, PD, or any of those places that would be investigating such a crime?
Correct. It's not a personal attack at all. There's a lot of great people over there that do a great job. It's as in an ideal situation versus what we have and what we've had in the past, and as a policy issue, we like to be called to the scene because ultimately we're the ones that have to prosecute the case and present it to a jury. Traditionally, that's the way it's always been. It's not been that way since January that the sheriff took office in 2013.
Is it frustrating to you as the person that's got to get all this ready for the grand jury?
Yes, sir. It is very frustrating because there's only one of me, and there's multiple detectives and multiple investigators and multiple agencies, and our office needs enough time to review cases, make sure that we are ready to proceed before the grand jury, and that the grand jury has all the information that they need to make a decision about whether or not somebody should be indicted for a crime. And I can't do my job unless the officers that bring me their cases have done their job.
We're going to have things happen.
Right.
We're going to take credit for it. We're going to take responsibility for it. But I will say what this does, the general public may think we've dropped the ball, we put them at risk or whatever. All this has done is allowed that individual their freedom to make bond or to be bonded out, PR bond. It does nothing whatsoever. It does not change whatsoever the criminal case against that individual. And just for instance, the one with aggravated assault, where we had I think there was 3 victims, if I'm not mistaken,
right,
where a guy shot a shotgun, he got some pellets, no life-threatening injuries. And Enchanted Lakes is an area which we have a hard time, believe it or not, finding witnesses. Even though we interviewed multiple witnesses that night, we interviewed multiple witnesses, which from my past experience as a law enforcement officer, get you way past the point where you have an indictable case. But I think that there could be some relaxing of some rules and some better communication and relaxing of some rules on what cases will be accepted here by the district attorney's office for indictment, instead of having a case ready to go to trial at the point it's indicted. With the caseload we have here and things like that, we got detectives running every which way. And
well, I understand that, but what I'm being told is by Matt, who's been the elected DA now since 2003, and has been with the department, with that agency now for us since, I believe, since 17 years. This is the first time this has happened. There's one other agency that had 2 cases that were getting around the 50-day mark. That was DPS.
Right.
But those 2 troopers are down on the border doing border patrol, as per the governor. They were moved out there. So there's a reason. I understand that it's hard to find witnesses sometimes, but how is, and this is the question I guess I'm posing this to you because Matt kind of posed it to me, and we have to ask the question is, how is it that Tyler PD can do the job and get the cases done and get those cases to them within that time period?
Well,
and how what's the problem here at the sheriff's office that it's not happening?
Well, if that communication were between Matt and I rather than you and Matt, we may come to some conclusion on that. But there has to be communication from both sides. And I've talked to Matt, and I've talked to April Sykes, the first assistant, and we had a system. We've got a system in place now in which on a misdemeanor case, our detectives have 30 days to have the case ready to go to be accepted by the DA's office. We have 45 days now, which is half the 90, to get a felony case. But what I'm saying is I believe we could have better access if we had more access to the district attorney's office. Many times we need access to and not just for a homicide case, not just for an aggravated assault case, not for a bad sexual assault case, but many times we need access to the prosecutor's office 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we have 2 days, and I understand the PD does as well, but the caseload per individual, I think probably if you check with the PD and check with us, ours for the number of detectives we have is astronomical right now. Again, not making any excuses.
Is that a staffing issue?
I think that's somewhat of a staffing issue. We've got, I think, probably 22 detectives in property and persons crimes. We have peaks and valleys of when a lot of these cases come in. But again, it's all on me. I'm not making any excuses.
Do you know how many cases y'all file about?
I don't have that number here. I can get it for you, but I don't have the number of how many cases we filed. But you really can't go by how many we filed. Just because we filed a case doesn't mean that's the only case we've got. We have to investigate multiple cases that never come to fruition that don't get prosecuted.
Right.
So that would be not a number just from the ones we filed, that wouldn't do us any good.